Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. Up and in. 1 point more to go.
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field, back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
A lot going on around Oregon athletics. We've got a lot to tell you about today, including men's and women's basketball in the NIT. The men starting things off Wednesday evening. It will be an 8 o'clock tip against a good UC Irvine team, one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country. They beat the Ducks at Matthew Knight Arena, a different Oregon team with a more injured lineup. They beat the Ducks, though, earlier this year. 8 o'clock, the NIT gets going for Oregon men's basketball. 7:30 pregame show with me here on the Oregon Sports Network. Then, coming up on Friday, Oregon women's basketball against North Dakota State. The Ducks will have a 6:30 pregame show with Terry Johns and Bev Smith. Good news, the Oregon live stream will be your TV home, which means that you get a bonus. Terry and Bev not only on the Oregon Sports Network, but on the Quack Video live stream as well. Baseball's in action. We've got basically every sport you can imagine in action, because even spring football gets back in action on Thursday. We'll have some updates for you. Coach Dan Lanning will meet with the media following practice on Thursday. Head to the GoDucks YouTube. We'll also have a Quack Minute for you, various other things going on. Today on the show, Oregon softball head coach Melissa Lombardi will join us because it's opening weekend at home. Stanford is in town. It's St. Patrick's Day, which might be the easiest day ever to be a Duck fan. You just wear green and you fit right in on St. Patrick's Day. Also of note at Jane Sanders Stadium this year, beer will be available for those who are of age. Everybody's excited about that. Mostly Scott Phillips is excited about that here in the Country Financial Studio. Baseball in action this weekend as well. They're going to be on the road after a home game on Wednesday. Men's tennis, lacrosse. We've got beach volleyball, track and field in addition to softball. There's no shortage of things to talk about. It makes my life very easy on Duck Insider. Also, everybody, happy Pi Day. 3.14, that's as far as I can go on the decimals. And with that, we welcome Aaron Wasson to the studio. Aaron's here, of course, affectionately known as Pooh. You're going to have to remind everybody where the nickname came from, Pooh.
Yeah, so when I was a Little League baseball player, my coach had a hard time remembering everybody's names. So I was Winnie the Pooh. And small town growing up in eastern Kentucky, it just stuck. And here we are a few years later.
You know, our good friend Todd Miles from Oregon Communications, he famously has said to anyone that will listen that you never come up with your own nickname. It's always given to you.
It was given to me.
Yeah, my mom gave me mine. So
here we go.
Yeah, I was never a Joseph, always a Joey.
Yeah.
And here we are, 30 years later, still going by that. All right, we have a lot to discuss with Mr. Wasson, who's here, Associate Athletic Director for Equipment Operations and Championships. Now, since you were last on the show, that's a new addition. Some more responsibilities on your plate these days.
Yeah, championships. Wear the championships hat. So, anytime we host Pac-12, NCAA, NIT, whatever sport it may be, I kind of the conduit between the university and the organization, and just organizing our team of staff just to make sure that we got everything aligned, booking hotels, flights if it needs to be, or officials, all that. So a lot of fun, something different than the equipment every day, but I've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun, but keeps me busy because we host a lot of championships.
Well, so that's a good thing, right? I mean, the fact that that position needs to exist is a reflection of hosting a lot of championships, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and spent a lot of time the last 48 hours with NIT, WNIT, so really excited about that this week. And we've had track and field, Pac-12, NCAAs, baseball, softball, regionals, super regionals. Last spring was really busy. We had women's golf, Pac-12. They had the Acro National Championships, and so It's a lot of fun.
So tell fans about the process if you could, Pooh. And I got to say, like, let's be honest. I scheduled this like a month ago with Pooh, and I did not know that you'd be neck deep in preparing for 2 NIT games. So thanks for still keeping us on your calendar. Thank you, because I know it's a lot. So what all is it? You know, like what do you have to do when you're preparing to host a championship event?
Well, first of all, like we've got a great staff here that understands the importance of the student athlete experience, the fan experience, and so that's first and foremost. Is depending on the sport, the staff members that are involved, from event management to marketing to medical equipment. You name it, they're involved, and so each sport's a little bit different. Some are predetermined, and we know that we're going to host like a NCAA track and field championships, and some of them are not. So like WNIT, NIT,
right?
Selections happen on Sunday night. We go back a couple months. We're putting in bids and preparing paperwork to submit, and so we're sitting there listening, watching TV, online, looking to see who's come to Eugene if we're going to host. But then it's just organizing the group that's involved with the sport and making sure that we're doing everything that we're asked to do from those organizations.
So it's one thing for somebody like me to sit here and say, the Ducks have put a bid in to host X, Y, or Z. What actually goes into a bid process?
Like I said, every one of them is a little bit different. There's, you look at a ticket revenue, you look at your game expenses, and what else is going on in the community at that time, right?
If there's a concert going on at Matthew Knight Arena.
Right, and we do a really good job. Mike Duncan and the event staff, they do a great job of reaching out to look to see what we could potentially be hosting at certain times throughout the year, with concerts and events that go on there at the arena. And so we were able to block out certain dates throughout the year with the possibility of us expecting to host.
I've always said that the equipment staff, I feel like you guys are the masters of so many things, and logistics, like your brains, I don't know how you guys keep track of all the logistics. With that in mind, how did that prepare you, being an equipment guy in your career? How did that prepare you now for this? Because there are so many logistics that you have to deal with.
Yeah, good question. I think just understanding a lot of the big picture, and nothing's really out of our realm to help out with, and being really organized, and then relying on the experts to solve some challenges. And when I got in this role a few years ago, my first thought was, I don't know a lot about everything. But so I need to rely on the event staff and the marketing staff and athletic training and all those different groups, and let the experts do what they do, and I'll funnel the information to them. And it's been great. It's been a great experience.
You're a good liaison.
Liaison is and delegator.
Yeah,
I'll take both of those.
That's great. I mean, I feel like some of the best. It's funny. Before you got here, we were just having a conversation in the studio about leadership and management and those things. I feel like some of the best leaders are just good delegators.
Yeah. You can look at it a few different ways, but sure, really realizing who is the professional and who knows the best about a certain situation, and really tapping into those resources and letting them do what they do best and getting out of their way and let them do it.
So, for example, in talking about like your role at these things, when you're the liaison, what are you doing on an event day? Like what does an event look like when you're the liaison?
Yeah, so really, the manuals are much like the compliance NCAA manual.
They're
very thick.
Yeah.
And so throughout the years, those have grown, and there's a lot of checklists that you can reference. A lot of the events will bring in a site rep that you sit down and go through, make sure locker rooms are set up, make sure the court looks like it needs to look, make sure the tickets are distributed and seats are held for player guest seating, any visitors from the NCAA office or the conference commissioners, those type of things. A lot of checklists. And I save those from year to year, right?
Yeah.
They continue to grow, but I reference those every year when we're playing an event.
Well, one thing that I always remind fans of, like when it's an event that's hosted by Oregon, it's not an Oregon event, right? Like things look a little different. Like, Pooh, I got to tell you, I will never forget first time I walked into Matthew Knight Arena and everything was blue because it had all the NCAA branding, for example, like when the women hosted, and I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
There's not green and yellow everywhere. It is a little bit of a different run event, isn't it?
It looks a little different. Absolutely. You'll see that tomorrow night with the NIT for sure. And we will host track, the same thing, right? The branding changes. Right. That's a part of the responsibility as a host, is to make it we want an exciting atmosphere, but it needs to be it needs to be a neutral atmosphere, right? To continue to host these events year after year after year. That includes, unfortunately, some, we have to move around some people, some season ticket holders, and that we have to carve out for visiting team player guests. And for some of those VIPs and dignitaries that may be traveling.
Right. Makes sense. There's a lot going on. I got to tell you, I don't know how you keep track of it. It must be a lot of spreadsheets and to-do lists.
I am definitely reference a lot of Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah,
that's how I work. Not smart enough to remember things, and so I have to write everything down or type it into an Excel spreadsheet.
Aaron Watson joining us. We've yet to talk about the equipment operation, which I've already gotten questions. When I said that you were coming on, I got a few questions like, hey, you have to ask Pooh about this. So I'm going to do that in a moment, so stick with us. But I also want to ask you about now being the sport administrator for softball. That was a new addition for this season. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that happened back in the fall. Really excited to get to know Coach Lombardi and her staff really well. And I've had an opportunity a couple of times to travel with them. Went to the Mary Nutter in Cathedral City last month. Just came back from the Washington trip Sunday night. So it's been really good. It's been fun to be around them. Really excited, group to be around. And we started Pac-12 play this past weekend. Really 3 close games with a super regional type feel. Yeah. And I don't think we came away from it with the wins that we wanted. We won 2 against them, but here comes Stanford, right? We learned from that experience, and Stanford top 5 team, I think. Yeah. We stayed in the top 20, so that's the way the Pac-12 is going to be every week, and that's what Coach Lombardi said. After the game is it's a super regional every single week, and that's why these athletes are here to compete in that environment. Looking forward to seeing what the fans bring Friday night.
St. Patrick's Day. Wear green. Ducks are going to wear green. Easiest day in the world to wear green. But, yeah, Stanford coming to town. A lot going on this weekend at the Jane. We'll have Coach Lombardi coming up with us on the show here in just a little while. Yeah, I did want to ask you, just the experience of being the sport administrator now. First time you've ever done that, I think, right?
It is, yeah, on a full-time basis. I'd filled in a few different times for administrators that were out of town or traveling or on committees. But, yeah, from a full-time perspective, experience has been good. And, it's great that we have an awesome senior staff here that I can bounce ideas off of. Coach Lombardi and her staff have been excellent to work with. Really easy group to work with daily. I bounce a lot of ideas off and hear a lot from Valerie Johnson and HJ and Eric and Rob. They've been doing it for a number of years, right? And so we get together and talk, and I can tap into those resources as needed when I have questions, but it's been good.
Yeah, I ask, when we do this every Tuesday and a different member, I always call you guys the corner office folks, right? Like when the corner office folks come over to the studio, you're there to support the coaches. You're there to support the student athletes. Just how do you describe the role? I always like to ask people, because I can ask you about the individual sports, but day to day, how do you describe the role?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It's definitely a support role. We want to support those student athletes, making sure those athletes are having a great experience, right? Making sure the coaches have what they need to be successful, right? Yeah. Rob talks about, managing expectations and resources, and that's what we're here for. But I think at the end of the day, it's to be there, be visible, be present, and make sure that they're getting supported at the level that we expect.
That's great. Well, all right, we got Aaron Watson here. We've spent the first 13 minutes talking to him about the new additions to the bio and the resume. Now we're going to go to what got you here, which is equipment operations. I've got 3 questions that fans have been like, you have to ask this. So we're going to do that when we come back. We might mention the surplus sale. We'll see. We'll see. Stick with us in the Country Financial Studio on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Chris Jakimick, I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA. It is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families. And one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
We are back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. He is Aaron Wasson, the Associate Athletic Director for Equipment Operations and Championships. We've been talking about the championships. We've been talking about overseeing softball. Melissa Lombardi, Oregon softball head coach, coming up on the show in just a little bit ahead of the home opening weekend. But now as an equipment guy, you've probably been called the equipment guy countless times in your career, right? Mm-hmm. Can I just call you the guru of things that look cool?
Yeah, I've been called worse.
Good. I like good. Well, God, the obvious follow-up is what have you been called? But it might not be radio appropriate,
maybe
so
not.
I won't ask
maybe
you.
Not.
But, Pooh, I'm curious, like, I asked you before about how the logistic side of what you've done in your career has prepared you maybe better than most to be handling and juggling so many different things. Like, just what's going on in equipment these days? What can you update us on?
Yeah, so good question. So I think I'll go ahead and knock this one out. Surplus sale.
I knew it'd be coming.
Get a lot of questions this time of year. So it's scheduled for Saturday, May 6th.
May 6th?
Yep, first Saturday in May, Derby Day.
Derby Day.
And so more information will come out early April about that, but it'll look a lot like it has looked the last several years. The season ticket holders will be able to line up and get first access. And so look for in your email inbox coming from the ticket office.
Love it.
Early April. But, Saturday, May 6th is the surplus sale. And there at the Mashofsky Center, really, it's a pretty successful event. Yeah. We really don't want to reinvent it too much. And so a lot like it's looked in the past.
Well, I just want to point out to everybody that you will not be competing with me nor anyone else that travels with Oregon baseball because we'll be at USC that weekend. So that means just, buy stuff for the broadcaster on behalf of the broadcaster. Like I always say, have a beverage for the broadcaster because I'm not doing that when I'm on the air, right? Like, Go have fun with it. Hey, it has been really successful, though. You mentioned that. Like, how unique is the surplus sale to an athletic department? I mean, Oregon's has such a big following, it seems like.
Yeah, so, it started here well before my time, 12 years ago. So my guess it's gone on here for 20-plus years. Started in the basement of Mac Court.
Yeah, I've heard those stories.
In the equipment room right now, we have it in the Mashofsky Center, so it's a 100-yard football field, right?
And you fill it up.
We fill it up, and we usually have 1,000 to 1,500 fans come through, and it goes fast, right? And the items are priced to sell. The surplus that we have left over from the year, and with our unique partnership with Nike, we want to make sure that our student athletes and our staff are wearing the latest brands from Nike. The latest polos, sweatshirts, T-shirts, those type of things. And so as we cycle the old style out that we have, that goes to the surplus sale.
And the surplus sale, I've said this before, like it's a cool thing for fans to sort of get in and get some cool stuff, but it also just cleans out your guys' equipment stores, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can never really have enough storage, right, when you're in the equipment space. But, it definitely checks that box to where we are able to get some stuff and get ready for the new Nike product that comes in really a month after that, starting in June.
So that's the timeline. So that's why May, I take it. Then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So June 1st is usually when we'll start receiving hundreds of boxes a day in our equipment rooms.
You guys, we've had you on in the past and talked about you were heavily involved in the planning of the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center. A lot of that was the equipment room and the sports science and everything that's gone on to what is right below our feet here in the Casanova Center. Now that you've worked in that space, like, just how rewarding is it to see the equipment operation year to year, like we're talking about? It's functioning the way that you wanted it to.
Yeah, absolutely. Kenny Farr, our head football equipment manager, myself, we're really fortunate to be a part of the design that went into that space. We pinch ourselves every day we come in, right? That we're able to work in that space. So, really fortunate, for Phil and Penny Knight and their generosity to see a need there, and we use it for recruiting photo shoots.
No doubt.
When I was on my way up here, I saw John Mitchell showing a soccer recruit through and sitting up on the throne and taking a picture. So it's almost daily. Basketball comes over, volleyball, all the sports use it for recruiting to showcase, that unique partnership we have with Nike.
Yeah.
But yeah, the equipment room is a very efficient space. We have, like I said, the amount of product that we have coming in daily, and so we have a plan for it when we receive it, where it goes, and then we get it checked in and then out to our student athletes.
There's one thing with we've all seen the images and what it looks like and the recruiting aspect, the cool factor. What about the practicality, Pooh? Like, just the fact that you can store all that and get to it.
Yeah, and so we we worked with a local group up in Tualatin called Space Saver Incorporated. We have 2.5 miles of linear feet of shelving that they're all on tracks.
2.5 miles.
Yeah, and they all move. And so the idea initially was the shelving units are used for record keeping in doctors' offices, physicians' offices, dental offices, and we were able to tap into that a little bit and use that to store helmets and shoulder pads and footwear and apparel. And so lots of storage, and we have those in every one of our equipment rooms now. Yeah. So it's called Space Saver, and it really does. It saves a lot of space.
Wow.
But a massive room down there, and Nike's designers and Todd Van Horn, they come in and make it look really, really cool.
Yeah, I know you've told me some of those numbers before, and I think even on the air 5-6 years ago now, but I'm still amazed at just this is what I get excited about. Like, it's one thing for it to look really cool. It's another thing for it to function well, right? And that's really, I think, what's the magic combination. Okay, other questions that I get as we talk with Aaron Wasson, the guru of all things that look cool, duck swag, if you will. I always get asked about the uniform selection process. I'm not going to ask you to break any news today. You'll have to wait for the uniform reveals coming in the coming months, everybody that's been asking. Take us through the process, though, if you could, of like football season, for example. Let's start there. So football season's coming up. When's the process start for the uniform script, if that's the right phrase, for the year?
Yeah, no, that's good. So typically selecting uniforms, we're 18 to 24 months out prior to the season, looking at different concepts. And it really starts with Todd Van Horn and his team and the Nike team meeting with our student athletes. And it's driven by the student athletes on concepts and ideas, and they just start sketching out and writing down ideas. And then Todd and his group, they go to work, and they'll come back with concepts in another meeting. So it's all driven by the student athlete.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different stories out there, the different uniforms we've had from year to year.
The Dornbecker one obviously comes to mind.
Absolutely.
I still have my fighting cancer water bottle here.
Yeah. So it works 18 to 24 months out, and then when that uniform kind of comes to life, Kenny Farr will sit down with Leadership Council for football and look game by game, look at our schedule, and they're actually doing that right now for the fall. Who are we playing? What colors could they be wearing? What color helmet could they be wearing? And they'll script out the uniform for the entire fall. Then they'll also look at Pac-12 championships, CFP, those type of things, and have a plan ready to go. And so it really helps the equipment staff on the front end where you're always kind of working a couple weeks out.
Yeah.
Because once we get to a couple days before the game, everything's finished and completed.
You're ready to roll.
And organized, and so they, start thinking about the next week.
Yeah.
Right? Because one week you could wear all green, and the next week it could be all yellow, and then it's a different color. And so it helps
packing
everyone.
away.
Exactly. And
Space savers.
Yeah. A lot of our sports do that. We sit down with the athletes, and we look at the entire season, and we script it out game by game.
Football's sort of a unique beast in a lot of ways, for sure. What about for other sports beyond football? Like you talked about how it starts with the student athletes, but then there's also sort of like, correct me if I'm wrong on terminology here, Pooh, but like there is a lifespan of each uniform, right? So every few years you get sort of a revamped uniform, and you're gonna wear them out after a while, right?
Yeah, sure. So we try to keep things fresh and new. Depending on the sport and the life cycle of the uniform. There's a lot of things that go into the decision making, but our goal is that a student athlete will have a refresh at least one time in their 5 or 6 year career.
Makes sense.
Here, depending on if they're a red shirt or they have the extra
anywhere
year
from
COVID,
3 to 7 at this rate.
Yeah,
right?
so our goal is that they have a brand new set of uniforms. Unveiled at least one time during their time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. Like I'm always amazed too at the way that you guys maintain, because it's not just like, oh, the cool new uniform. There's also maintenance that goes into this, right? Like that's a big part of your guys' job is maintaining what's out there.
Well, yeah, and they have to be washed after every competition.
No doubt.
Right? And depending on the sport, there's more that goes into that. Obviously baseball and softball right now. John and his crew and our intern Will over at softball, they spend a lot of time Mondays and Tuesdays scrubbing uniforms and making them, because it's a lot of pride, right? We want to make sure that what's hanging in that uniform looks brand new, no matter what it looked like after the game.
No doubt.
Yeah.
What's the most difficult stain to get out of a uniform?
It's the red clay.
Is it?
Right. Yeah. When our teams go to a school that has red clay.
So that white uniform, when they slide head first, you're going, man.
Yeah. But it's the challenge, right, for the equipment staff to be like, I got that.
Yeah.
It may take a few times in the washer and some scrubbing, and up for a few hours at night doing that, but they'll take care of it. And like I said, it's the goal is that there's a lot that goes into it, but that it looks brand new when it goes back in their locker.
Well, I always say that you guys are the team behind the team.
Yeah,
sure. And you guys take a lot of pride in that, don't you?
Yeah, team equipment staff is great. If they're if they're unknown, that's a good day, right?
Right. You're like special teams.
Yeah, right. We take a lot of pride behind the team, and the equipment staff, but there's a lot of support staff behind the scenes that are supporting these athletes and these coaches, and we all want the same thing at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
And so
win Ducks win.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I got to tell you a quick story. So John Mitchell got a long shout out on the Oregon baseball broadcast a few weeks ago because Jacob Walsh actually had his first baseman's glove break. Ball got thrown over, broke, and so John had to race, get the backup first baseman's glove, throw it to Jacob, waited like 10 seconds for this to all happen, right? Next inning, Jacob's back to his original glove because John had relaced the entire glove.
Absolutely.
And that took him no time.
That's what we do.
Do you guys have so I imagine how like grocery checkout folks will have like races to see who can check people out faster. Do you guys have like races of who can relace gloves or stitch uniforms together, like back plates on quicker?
Well, that's actually we should probably do that. Now, hey, they will relace gloves. Kenny was down there doing some sewing on some spring game or spring practice jerseys yesterday.
Right.
And so whether it's sewing or heat pressing or relacing gloves or changing out shoelaces, right? Donovan's there right behind the bench. Men's and women's basketball, volleyball. If something happens, he's at the ready.
I think we need to try and come up with something where like all of your guys are there with a shoe that needs to be laced. That would be fun.
It would be.
If your staff's into it, we're there to film it.
I'll
do play-by-play.
I would assume that if I ask the staff, they're going to say, when do we have time to do that?
Right.
I'm like, all right, got it.
Fair. Okay. Then in that case, to the entire equipment staff, I get it, and thanks for what you do. Pooh, what did we miss? Anything else that fans should know?
Yeah, you know what? It's a busy week for everybody in Oregon athletics, and I would, ask the fans to come out and support as many events as possible. There's a lot going on. a few things maybe at the same time. But it looks like it's going to be great weather at the Jane this weekend. Opening of the Jane Friday night at 6 versus Stanford. So that's where I'll be all weekend.
Nice.
But hopefully, get out to the basketball games, lacrosse. I'm going to forget something now. Sorry. Beach,
there's so many.
Track.
Beach is in San Jose. Men's tennis is in town Thursday at 5. Yep. Women's tennis is in town Friday at noon against Colorado. St. Patrick's Day also, so they'll be wearing green, of course. Track and field, that's exciting. Oregon preview coming up. The outdoor season is officially upon us after the indoor season just wrapped up last weekend. The indoor season always comes to a close, I feel like, so fast.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's outdoor season ready to go. Baseball's in Pullman.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got everybody. Lacrosse.
A lot going on. Come out and support the Ducks.
Yeah. Thanks, Pooh. Appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
How fast can you lace a shoe?
You know what? Not real fast. Not as fast as my guys that do it on a daily basis. So.
Yeah. But in your prime.
Oh, yeah. I was pretty good.
I bet 30 seconds.
Oh, I was pretty good. I could knock it out fast.
I love that. All right. The Associate Athletic Director for Equipment Operations and Championships, Aaron Wasson. When we come back, it's opening weekend at the Jane. Talking with Melissa Lombardi, Duck softball head coach, next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Now's the time to imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like Tundra. Go for a spin, enjoy some off-roading, or build your kids that treehouse you promised them. Hey, they deserve it.
Toyota, let's go places. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Event ends April 4th.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
Now's the time to imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like Tundra. Go for a spin, enjoy some off-roading, or build your kids that treehouse you promised them. Hey, they deserve it.
Toyota, let's go places. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Event ends April 4th.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack and Melissa Lombardi in the Country Financial Studio. Coach, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Top 25 weekend, a bonus game on a Monday, and now you're back at home. So before we recap the weekend, reminder, Oregon softball is back at the Jane this weekend. The home opener Friday against another top 15, top 25, whatever, top something team in Stanford. It doesn't get any easier, does it?
No.
Pac-12.
It's back.
I wanted to ask you, actually, generally speaking, before we talk individuals, like, now that there's been one weekend in Pac-12 play, what are your thoughts on the league? Like, what do you make of the non-conference portion and now heading into Pac-12 play? What is the league like this year?
I think it's tougher than ever. I think we have 6 teams that are ranked in the top 25. It's just tougher than ever. I think you've got seasoned teams that we're facing every weekend. that know how to win, which is great. That's what it's about. You know, you think about what you have to do in postseason and the road that it takes to get to be the last one standing. And in order to do something like that, you have to go through it in the pack.
Well, talk about a really, Greg Walker and I were talking about this. It felt like two heavyweights going at it this past weekend. Is that kind of how you felt in the matchup with Washington in the 3-game set?
Yeah, definitely. You're never out of it. You're never out of a game until the final out is made. You are never out of it. And you could see it. You could see us go ahead, and then they come back. You could see us jump back up again. Like, you're never out of it.
I wanted to go game by game with you if we could. Friday, really nice performance overall. What'd you like from your team on Friday?
I loved their grit. I thought they had a different look in their eyes that I haven't seen before. These guys always compete, but there's something different. There's just something different about them, and they were not going to be denied. They knew that they were going to win, and sometimes you don't know exactly how you're going to win or when it's going to come. You just know it, and that's what I felt from them on Friday night.
What about Saturday?
Saturday, same thing. We battled Saturday, and every single game we gave ourselves opportunities to win. Every single game of the weekend. And
then Sunday, I can only imagine. I mean, you talk about like rubber match of a series. Yeah. Just how two haymakers traded. It seems like the whole game. You had the opportunity in the 7th. How proud of you were I don't even know how to ask this. You were proud of the comeback, right?
You know what? I honestly, from what I've seen from this team, I didn't expect anything less. These guys, they fight. We just, the thing that we talked about the most afterwards is just us as a team being a little bit cleaner in what we do. We know how to compete. There's no question. You could see that we can pitch on the mound. We have offense. We have defense. It's just being, I think, clean from 1 through 7. I think that was our biggest takeaway.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Coach Lombardi joining us. So you go 1-2 opening weekend, and I feel like if that series was at the Jane, you might have gone 3-0, at least 2-1. Is that's the home field advantage? I kind of felt like watching the series from afar.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a home field advantage when you're at home and you're playing in front of your crowd. They become a part of your team, and you're putting pressure on the opponent, but your fans, your supporters, they put the additional pressure on them as well. The venue is great. I mean, I would rather play in a venue that is going after us than an empty venue. And that, when you get to postseason, you want to do everything right, so you're at home. But if you're not home, then you're battle tested, and you know how to go on the road and beat somebody in a tough environment.
How big of a deal is it too? Like in those environments where maybe it's not a raucous environment one way or the other. You bring your own energy. I mean, there's something to be said for that too, right?
Yeah, I think anytime you play a ranked opponent, you go into a tough venue, it gives you reason, to get hyped up. But really, I think when it comes down to it, that you should be able to do that on your own, regardless of the environment or the situation. It's the will, it's the competitiveness, it's the drive that you bring as a team, where you want to come in and you want to beat your competitor regardless of where you're playing.
I feel like softball, compared to some other sports, like it's even easier for a fan like me to feel the energy, because the fields are designed that we are so much closer to your dugout, right? We should be hearing you.
Absolutely, for sure. No, that's why I love our venues. It's tight, it's intimate. Our fans, I think they get an unbelievable experience at the Jane, and that's why I'm really excited for us to be home. At the end of this weekend, I told our athletes to. I'm the one that I open up my suitcase, I take my stuff out, I wash it, I leave it right in the middle of my closet, and then I reload it, and then we go again. Yeah. Right? I'm guilty of that.
I do it too.
And I told them, take everything out of your suitcase. Physically put it away.
Yeah.
Put it away. We get to be in the state of Oregon for the next 3 weeks. We get to be at home, 2 times in a row, and then going to OSU. So
that's great.
Put it away, and let's enjoy being at home.
There really is something. I will be honest. There is something therapeutic about. So my suitcase lives on the top shelf of the closet. Mm-hmm. So it goes up to the top shelf, and I'm like, you're there a while.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind.
With the Ducks hosting the NIT, for example, I put that suitcase away the other day. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that you're physically doing that. Melissa Lombardi joining us. Home weekend, but I do want to ask you about Monday. How valuable is it to have those extra games when you're already up in Seattle? You get a chance to play another road game. Those can help you in the scheduling.
Yes, for sure. You need them. you need them. they can also be a trap game, though,
Yeah.
too. You know, you're coming at the end of the weekend. We played a tough series against Washington. You know, we're tired. We want to go home, but we have this additional game to play. And Seattle's excellent at what they do. They're a tough team, and so to just kind of go in there and play, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So I really like after the weekend that they were able to come in and continue to play. You know, we talk about playing for us and doing what we need to do for us. And I thought they did a great job of that yesterday.
A lot of great highlights throughout the game. We're going to talk about that, but now we're going to have a little bit of fun. So during the game, something that is a third base or first base coach's nightmare happened. And we have it for you. You can barely see, but, Coach, I mean, you almost got out of the way. You almost made it. So if you didn't see this, when the Ducks were up 5-0 in the third, Coach Lombardi got just tagged in the third base coaching box. How often does this happen in your career?
You know, it's only happened a couple times. It's kind of hard to tell where it hit me, but it got me right in, I guess, the hip.
Right in the hip.
And, like, right there, I'm trying to pretend like I'm good, but I'm not. My eyes felt like they were watering a little bit.
Yeah, I get it. So, you know, and I mean, off the bat of Ariel Carlson, like,
I'm an idiot. Like, I know better. Like, you know, as soon as I got home, I got lectured. My husband's like, I tell you every time to scoop back and you don't listen. That's what you get. Like, that's what happens.
This hasn't happened to you that often, though, has it?
No, because I usually am back a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
So we were talking, I got to tell everybody, we were talking during the break that I've seen, you know, a lot of coaches have one where they try to make a play, it goes through their legs, slow roller goes through their legs. Like, you know, you'd rather show your team that you got to give up the body to keep the ball in front of you sometimes, right?
No.
Okay.
No, I Olay those. Like my early days, let me make the play. Yeah, I played. Okay. Now I'm like, Olay, somebody pick it up. Like, I want no part of it.
Maybe we got to go baseball style. We got to get you a helmet over there.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, you know, you could be a trendsetter.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I don't know why I was that close. I don't know what I was thinking. And then, of course, like, our trainer's just like, walk it off. And I'm walking it off because every time I stopped, it was killing me. And then our dugout is just.
Yeah, what'd the team say after the game?
They're just talking trash to me.
Well, I appreciate that you can have a little bit of fun with it because I'll be honest, there are coaches that I wouldn't be able to show that clip and have a little bit of fun with it.
No, it's all good. I'm glad it hit me in the leg.
It's part of the game, right?
Yeah, no.
It is part of the game. Did it take you back to your playing days of having like the bruises and the welts all over your body?
I don't even know. I was just trying to. It didn't take me back to anything but that. It was like I saw it coming and I froze and then I tried to get out of the way and then it just nailed me.
Now, I believe after this happened, though, didn't Ariel get a hit?
Yes.
Good.
There you go.
See, it works out. So
there you go, Ariel.
That's the coach, you know, doing your part, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Les Lombardi, Oregon softball head coach. I appreciate that we could have a little bit of fun with her. We're going to continue doing so. Talk about the opening weekend for Duck softball at the Jane when we come back in the Country Financial Studio. Part 2 of our conversation with Missy Lombardi on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, There's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it. Unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Back on Nugget Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Our Toyota Women's Sports Schedule Spotlight. Toyota Let's Go Places. Oregon softball home opening weekend at Jane Sanders Stadium. Part 2 of our conversation with head coach Melissa Lombardi. Some individuals that I wanted to ask you about. Valerie Wong over the weekend. She was 7 for 12. Couple of doubles, couple of home runs. A 12.50 slugging percentage.
Yeah, she was crazy. Yeah. She was Val is so strong, and she is a competitor, and she loves to play the game. And that's what I love about Val is like she is that athlete that she is in every single pitch. She's just into it. She loves to play softball and she loves to compete, and to see her come up big all weekend long just fired me up. It fired our team up. Just love what she's doing. She's in a really good place right now.
Mentally, it seems like this is maybe as locked in as she's been.
Yeah,
in her career.
Really locked in. Yeah. We faced some really good pitching this weekend, so it was nice to see her do what we need that from her.
How about Tara McGowan, another player that hit over 500 over the weekend?
Yeah, Tara being Tara. I think she's just in a really, really good place. She knows what she wants. She understands how to be on time for it, and just coming up clutch for us. So.
This week was named D1 Softball's #1 catcher in the power rankings that the D1 Softball puts together. I don't know how much stock you put into that, but it gives someone like me something to talk about. That, hey, there's an organization that covers a lot of softball that thinks she might be the best catcher in the country.
Yeah, the individual recognitions, they're nice. I think we'd all talk about how, like, team. But I do know that I think it's overdue, the individual recognition for her. I think it's way overdue. I think Tara is one of the best catchers in the country and doesn't get recognized for that. I think Allie Bunker is one of the best second basemen in the country and doesn't get recognized. So I thought actually it was pretty cool for her to get the recognition.
That's great. Yeah, that's cool. I thought, she's been in the studio a couple times. Many of you have heard me talk about what she does beyond the softball field.
Yep.
I think that should matter in some of the individual recognition.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's very difficult to be a student athlete, and then to also be a student athlete that that uses their platforms for really, really good causes, such as mental health. So you just look at everything she's doing off the field with her grades. She's getting her master's right now. She's already graduated. She's getting her master's. She's using her platform to support student athletes across the country and their mental health, and then still knows how to be really elite at what she does on the field and to lead our team. I mean, that's
an elite human.
Yeah, very much. I'm very proud of her and what she's done, and just to watch her growth over the years.
That's cool. I do want to ask you about Allie Bunker. So another coaching connection for you. So Allie Bunker passed Nikki Reagan, formerly Udrea, for 3rd all-time on the hits list, closing in on Courtney Cox. She's got another 40 to go to catch Courtney. But that's a really cool accomplishment. There's been some All-Americans, a number of All-Americans in this program that are on this list, and to pass an All-American in Nikki Reagan, Allie Bunker, that's a cool accomplishment.
That's a big-time accomplishment. Really, really big. And it was cool because when she got it yesterday, she didn't even really know. She came to the dugout, like she hit it. I'm like, you guys, she just passed Coach Reagan's record.
Nice.
And they were all excited, and she's coming in. They're like, yes, Bunk, yeah, and she didn't really understand at first. And I went over, I'm like, congrats, Bunk, awesome. And she goes, like she was kind of didn't understand. I'm like, know. you just broke the record. Like she knew it was kind of coming up, but didn't know. You know what I mean? Like she wasn't like, oh, I need one more.
Right.
She didn't know she had tied it. She didn't know, because that's Bunk. Bunk just plays.
Did Nikki know?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. And they both knew it was coming up, but just didn't know that was the one. And so, You know, Allie, all these fifth-year seniors they want to leave this place better than they found it, and they want to leave their legacy, and that's what they're doing. You know, that's what they're doing. And what I think is pretty cool is that she got the base hit, and her first high five was Coach Reagan standing at first.
Yeah.
You know, who she looks up to. And, I mean, Allie's always been a really good second baseman, but then what Coach Reagan has added to her play and the rest of our defense play, like, I just thought it was a really cool moment for both of them.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff where, we think about, you were talking about like individual accolades in the past, but a lot of times if you have a team that breaks a bunch of individual records, that means the team's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so cool to have like that connection to Coach Reagan, and then also the connection of what's happening now. Like, it gives someone like me a chance to talk about, hey, Allie Bunker's an All-American.
Yeah, Allie Bunker is really good.
Yeah.
And what I'm hoping is that, we all know that.
Yeah.
And you know what? She doesn't need the softball world to know. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't need that validation.
Right.
She plays because she's a competitor. She loves to play the sport, and she wants to be the best that she can be. And that's good enough for her.
Yeah.
But then, for you and for myself as a coach, it's, I think it's pretty cool to see her pass this record.
For example, she also, Bunker had 3 doubles over the weekend. That tied a Pac-12 Hall of Honor member this year, Janie Takeda-Reed. Second on the Oregon career doubles list. Has 8 doubles already this year to lead the Pac-12, by the way.
Yeah.
That's just such a cool connection. Like, Janie is a great in Oregon softball history, already recognized as one of the best in any Pac-12 sport ever, being recognized this year in the Pac-12 Hall of Honor. And we're talking about her in the same sentence. I mean, that's a big deal.
It's pretty cool. And what's pretty awesome is that both Janie and Nikki are so pumped for Allie. And they've got a good connection. Janie comes back to Eugene a lot, and she has a really good connection with our athletes. And I want her to. I want all of our alumni to be connected to our current team, because our current team always wants to know about our alumni and what they did when they were here and how they went about it. And, there should be a deep sisterhood that is happening. And you could see that with those 3. So I thought it was really awesome. I mean, just what a great weekend for Bunk.
That's great. Well, I do want to end with some of the events coming up, okay? So it's the easiest day in the world to wear green uniforms. It's St. Patrick's Day on Friday for the home opener. Only 36 reserve tickets are left for opening day as of this recording Tuesday morning. There's a lot of GA tickets left in the Bob, though, so, wear your green and come out.
Yeah, come out. The Bob, I'll go into the Bob and sit. The Bob is a great seat. There's not a bad seat in the house. Not at all. The Bob is a great place to watch. There's such good energy out in the Bob. Our outfield really gets caught up with our, our fans in the Bob. It's a great seat. Great seat.
To give you an idea of the rest of the weekend as well, only 3 reserve tickets are left for Saturday, 40 are left for Sunday, but there are GA tickets. So come on out. Going to be a great weekend. Oregon softball at home for the first time. Feels really good. New this year, beer will be available for purchase for those of legal age. Signature Saturdays, post-game autograph session with the entire team, and Sunday Fun Day, kids run the bases, other kid-themed promotions. All of that's going to be on Goducks.com. But it's a great weekend to be back at home, and I know you're looking forward to it.
Can't wait. Cannot wait to be back at home and to just play in front of our fans. We love playing at the Jane. We love playing in front of our fans.
Keys to success against Stanford and a scouting report on the Cardinal.
Yeah, again, I mean, like everything I would say to you about Washington, I'd say the same thing. They pitch well. They don't give up a lot of runs. So it's our pitching being really solid and our defense being solid. And just love what our hitters are doing. Love the amount of runs that they're putting on the board. So I think it's just about us staying disciplined in our 3 areas and continuing to compete, for us.
Home opener, Friday, 6 o'clock. We'll see you at the Jane. Coach, thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Always appreciate the time. Head coach Melissa Lombardi, Oregon softball, back at Jane Sanders Stadium this weekend, and we'll be back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Farming is dangerous. There's dangers all around us.
We go through safety training and try and do these things to make sure accidents don't happen.
You don't want to hit a gas pipe because that's your life. The other part of it is if you hit certain things, you're liable for it.
Farm Safe 811 starts with you. Always call 811 and wait for any underground lines to be marked.
Always keep safety in the back of your mind. Just stay humble.
For more information, go to farmsafe811.org.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/Drug Facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. It is Oregon Football Pro Day. If you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, haven't had a ton of updates for you because the Ducks have not yet wrapped up, and so all of the measurements are not final. You'll see a lot of info on GoDucks.com, but happy to report that I believe 31 of the 32 NFL teams had scouts inside the Mashofsky Center. We'll have a bunch of interviews from Pro Day. Alex Simpson and the entire Quack Video team are collecting some interviews here today while we're live on the air. We'll have those for you on the GoDucks YouTube, also later on the show this week. Programming note, we always take Thursday and Friday of this week off of Duck Insider with the NCAA tournament going on, postseason basketball and the NIT. We never know if myself and Terry Johns are going to be anywhere near the Country Financial Studio, so we don't do shows on Thursday and Friday. What that means is Wednesday's show, tomorrow, it's going to be a full preview of men's basketball in the NIT, 8 o'clock on Wednesday, set for the tip-off, and then women's basketball in the NIT, 7 o'clock Friday for the tip-off. Terry Johns will join us on the program tomorrow so that we can run through everything for basketball postseason, and then we'll be back with you on Monday. Also of note, spring football practice begins this week. Thursday and Saturday, Dan Lanning will meet with the media. We'll have some updates for you via the Quack Minute on the Oregon Football social media channels, and of course we'll have them for you on the GoDucks YouTube, the full interviews with Dan Lanning. We'll have that for you on the show on Monday as well. The schedule ahead, though, it is a busy one. We were talking with Aaron Wasson about that. Baseball starts it all 4 o'clock on Wednesday, then basketball 8 o'clock on Wednesday. Men's tennis against Texas Tech 5 o'clock on Thursday. St. Patrick's Day begins at noon in town with women's tennis hosting Colorado. Beach volleyball's on the road. Baseball's in action in Pullman starting at 4 o'clock on Friday. Then we have Oregon softball at 6 o'clock, but Oregon lacrosse is in action at 5 o'clock, and then Oregon women's basketball 7 o'clock on Friday. You get the idea. There's a lot going on. Go Ducks, everybody.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit